In this video, we're going to be talking about constructing linear graphs and equations. So when you're drawing a graph, the first thing that you want to plot is the y-intercept. Then you want to use the slope to find the next point. So a positive slope means you're going to go up the number on the slope. So if your slope is 4, you would go up 4 over 1. Because 4 can be written as 4 divided by 1. So it tells you how many up and how many over. If you have a negative slope, that's how many you should go down and then over to the right. We always read left to right, so we're going to be moving to the right. So negative slope, say your slope is negative 3/5. You're going to go down 3 over 5. So our slope tells us how many to go up and over from our initial point that we're going to plot, which is the y-intercept. And then we're going to connect the points to form a line. So looking at doing this from an equation, what the first thing we would do instead is find the slope. Remember our slope formula. This is important to know. Slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Difference in y's over difference in x's. The rise over the run. So with a graph, you start with the y-intercept, but with an equation, you start with the slope. And then the second part for finding equation is plugging in everything you know, your x, your y, and m, and then solving for b, and then writing your answer in y equals mx plus b form. So let's do both of these. So starting with graphing a linear equation, we're going to follow these steps right here, and we're going to look at these points. So we're not given a y-intercept, so instead we're just going to plot these 2 points. So my first point is 3, -1. So there's my x1, y1. So the x value is 3, and the y value is -1. So there's my first point, and my second point, x2, y2, is the point 2, 3. And we just want to draw a line connecting these points. So my line doesn't look very great. That's because it's going to be easier to connect them and make a straight line if we figure out the slope between them. So looking at this, I want to use the slope to determine how the line should look. So the slope is, remember, it's how many over, or how many up or down, and then how many over you move. So this one, as we move left to right, are we going up or down? So left to right, our first point, and then this is our second point. So left to right, are we going up or down? We're going down, so we must have a negative slope. How many are we going down? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have -4 over, we went over 1. So our slope is -4, in other words. And so determining other points on here would help me connect this and have a better shot at it looking okay. So let's figure out the next point. We want to go down 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then over 1 to the right. So now I have a little bit better idea of how to draw the line by having found extra points. So here I can connect these 2 points, and then we don't have the next y value there just because it goes off the graph. So there's plotting a graph looking at 2 points. Finding the slope can help you plot other points. But let's determine the equation of this line by following these steps here. So our first step is to determine the slope. Now we already did that by visually looking at the graph. If we didn't have a graph, we would use the equation y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So let's just do that for practice. So we have y2 is 3 minus y1 is -1. Comparing the 2 y values on the point up here. And then we have 2 minus 3, x2 minus x1. So all we're doing is we're plugging into this slope formula, but we're going to use these points here. And so in the top we have 3 minus a negative 1. So 3 plus 1 is going to give us 4. Over 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So we get 4 divided by negative 1, we get negative 4, which we saw because we had drawn that picture of the graph. It was easier to spot the slope that way. But if you don't like counting boxes up or down and then over, you can always use the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So we did the first step listed above here. Our second step is to plug in x, y, and m to solve for b. So we just need to pick one of these points and plug it in. So we need to look at the equation y equals mx plus b and plug in everything except for b. That's what we're solving for. We don't know it yet. And I can use either point. I'm just going to go ahead and pick the second point, just randomly. So the y value of that point is at 2 or 3. It's 3, so I'm going to replace y with a 3. The slope of any point here is negative 4. The x value of the point is 2 plus b. So I get 3 equals negative 4 times 2 is negative 8 plus b. And now we just need to get b by itself. So you choose one of the 2 points. It doesn't matter which point you choose. You plug in the y value of the point, m, the slope you just found in the first step, the x value of the point, and then you write plus b. That's what we're solving for. So now I need to get b by itself. So I'm going to add 8 to both sides. So I get 11 as my y-intercept. And then my third step, I'm looking up here, my 3 steps. We found the slope, we found the y-intercept, and our last step is to just write the final answer. So y equals m is negative 4x plus b. So find m either by looking at the picture or using the slope formula. Find b by plugging in everything, you know, an x value and a y value in the slope. Solve for b, and then don't forget to write your final answer. Y equals negative 4x plus 11.